girls who were in the ministry when I was a girls minister, so it's really fun to have them with me. And now they are interns in the same youth ministry, so it's really cool. So welcome, Mattie and Maddie, today. And we're going to be talking about the battlefield of boys and what a struggle that can be. So here we go. So Mattie, what are some qualities that you look for in a guy when you're thinking about dating?
Yeah, so the main thing that I always, one of my youth leaders told me this, the main thing I look for is obviously loving the Lord, and I know that some people are kind of like, well, duh, love the Lord, but Jesus says to be kind, and if he loves Jesus, he'll be kind, and Jesus says to forgive, and if he loves Jesus, he'll forgive, and so just like the list goes on, and all of those qualities will fall into place if he's striving after the Lord as number one.
That's good.
And I think going along with that, another one of the things is that if he does love the Lord, he'll treat everyone kindly. And I think that's something that I look for, not just the way he treats me or the way he treats the girl he cares about, but it's like the way he treats everyone. And the friends he doesn't necessarily like, or the girls he doesn't necessarily care for, but if they treat everyone kindly, that's the way the Lord wants him to treat them, and that's the way he'll treat you, and it'll be genuine.
Yeah, I love that. And I recently was talking to someone, and I love that you said love the Lord, and not just goes to church or says he's a Christian, but really loving the Lord and pursuing him. That's the difference, because there's some guys who might by name say they're a Christian, but to really be living it, that's what you want to look for. So as a Christian girl, strive to find a guy who is pursuing Jesus, loving Jesus, and then everything else will fall into place.
Yeah.
It's good. Okay. All right, so as a Christian girl, when should you date? Why should you date? And how should you date?
So for when, I don't think there's a concrete answer. I don't think it's you have to be 17 when you can start dating. I'm sure Sam's told Joy that you can't date till you're 40, but I think that you should respect what your parents say. And if your parents are no, you need to wait till high school, then I think that you should go by that, because they're only doing that to protect you, and they want what's best for you.
I like it. Yeah, so I think, as a Christian girl, good, wholesome dating is fine, and it's good, and I think there's nothing wrong with it, and going on dates and getting to know people, building those friendships, that's a healthy thing for everyone. And then also always coming back to that the purpose of it is to really grow in the Lord, and you can actually do that in relationships to push each other forward to know Jesus more, and that's why you only and always date a Christian guy. So one of the major struggles that we might have when you're dating a guy is physical temptation. And I know that a lot of Christian girls think that they're not going to struggle with it, that they're above that or whatever. But I know that was one of my greatest temptations when I started dating, is the physical temptation. And you are kind of caught off guard. And so there's some really practical things that you can do as a safeguard for you in your relationship. So, Mattie and Maddie, what are those things that you can do to help you in relationships when it comes to this temptation?
I just think there's some things that we just look over, and it's okay, that's not going to happen to me, like you said. It just kind of catches you off guard. And I think one of the things is, just for an example, if you're hanging out at the house and you're going to watch a movie, I'm going to get a blanket. Okay, well, maybe get your own and not share, because you're just trying to set yourself up for success. So, your own blanket, not laying down, or
keeping
not
it vertical, not horizontal. What about you?
Well, like you said earlier, a lot of Christian girls probably think that they won't struggle with it, and then they get in a situation and they're whoa, I can't, this is harder than I thought, or it's just a different kind of temptation that people would not necessarily think about. And so just one thing that I was told when I started dating was, okay, so say you're in this really good, wholesome Christian relationship with this really great Christian guy, but you start having these physical sins come between you over and over and over, and it's kind of just this good relationship just kind of gets beat down, and then eventually that relationship is ruined because of this sin, and you start looking at him like your sin,
Definitely.
And so it's just kind of something that can cast a cloud over the relationship that was a good relationship, but can be ruined by something like this.
I think it's easy in our culture to think that it's not that big of a deal. And I've talked to a lot of girls who really have asked me, well, I'm not doing what my friend's doing, so what's the big deal? And what we need to remember is that God in his word is really explicit about saying that this is a major sin and that we have to flee from sexual sin. I was reading this morning just some different verses that said things like, do not defile the marriage bed. And when you think about it in that way, I know it's like, whoa, that seems harsh, but when you are being physical with your boyfriend in ways that are supposed to only be for your husband, you are defiling what God has made holy. And you know, I've talked to a lot of people and they think that adultery only happens after you're married, but I'm convinced that cheating on your spouse, even if you don't know who that person is yet, can happen before you even meet them, by how physical you are with guys prior to marriage. And so I just think we have to take this seriously as Christian girls, that sexual sin is a big deal, and that of course there's grace, of course there's forgiveness, but we need to hold our purity very high and look at it as sacred and as a gift that we can one day give to our husbands. And so, yeah, just really seeking to remember how important it is and to honor God with our relationships by keeping ourselves pure. Another struggle that you have in this area of boys is, what if a guy doesn't want to date you? What if you're one of those girls who, through middle school, through high school, through college, you never really date? No guy really shows you interest. I know that when I was in middle school and high school, I did not date very much. I think I had some major awkward years where guys weren't really that interested. And so you think like, what's wrong with me? This is so sad. All I want is a guy to like me. And so it can really mess with your confidence, your self-esteem, especially if you are not secure in who Christ has made you and you're always desiring that. So I do think it's really important as a Christian girl to really make Christ the only one that you need. And once you get to that point, then I feel like the gift of dating someone can come along. But even knowing that if you never get married, if you never date someone, that's okay. And that the Lord can use you fully and completely, and that we don't need a guy. I'm not a feminist talking, but you don't need a guy to complete your life. Yes, it can be a blessing, but it's not everything. And really knowing that and living that. But what would be y'all's advice to a girl who's like, I'm never gonna date. I hate being single all the time.
Yeah, I think that singleness, I mean, as much as this like stings to hear, like it can be a blessing. And I think that that is a time where the Lord can really use you. And I know people say that, and that's not something you want to hear. But knowing that you don't have any type of commitment, you don't have anything holding you back, not saying boys hold you back, but just you're single, you're yourself, and the Lord can use you in that. And I think that if we let singleness become such a negative thing, then we're going to start dating the wrong people. You're going to start dating just because you want a boyfriend, and you're not going to have any standards for yourself,
right?
Which in and of itself is going to set you up for failure.
Yeah. And just one thing that also is kind of just a different perspective from looking on singleness is it can be the Lord's protection, and it can be something that He is guarding you from, because just like we talked about the physical boundaries, like it's just protecting you from ever having to even face that. Like emotional boundaries of like getting too serious, it's protecting you from that. There's just like a whole list of things that it could be protecting you from. And sometimes I don't think we look at it as like, God, like, you know, why doesn't anyone want me? Like, I'm not good enough. But really it's like maybe the Lord's saying like, actually, you are really good, and I'm gonna like keep you safe. You know,
if you're feeling like, Lord, what are you doing? I really think that's a good word. He is protecting you because you are so valuable, and you view it as, oh, I'm not. But really, God's saying you are worth more than you know. And so remember that, and know that it isn't some boy that can come along and fully complete you, but it's the Lord Jesus Christ. He is truly the one who you need to find your security and value in. And you'll be better off for it.
I think that if you put these expectations on a boy for him to complete you, then you are going to be let down every time. And if that is something that I have just felt convicted of a lot, is just putting unrealistic expectations on him. And it's just like, that is not fair to him, because one, oftentimes I don't speak them, so he's having to guess what they are. But then also, also just like, we can't put expectations on them that only the Lord can fill.
Thank you so much for joining us today as we talked about the battlefield of boys. Thank you, Maddie and Maddie, for being with me. We appreciate it. We hope that you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe.